He controlled Chicago with a smile and a bullet, and for 2 years, he had a direct line to the Oval Office through a woman both men couldn't resist. If you love stories where power, secrecy, and betrayal collide at the highest levels, subscribe to this channel. Because what happened between 1960 and 1962 wasn't fiction. It was a national security disaster hidden in plain sight. A woman in a black cocktail dress walks through the casino. Her name is Judith Campbell, 26 years old, dark hair, confident, recently divorced from actor William Campbell. She moves through the crowd toward the lounge where Frank Sinatra is performing. Sinatra invited her. She accepted. Sinatra greets her after the show. He's surrounded by his rat pack, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford. Lawford is married to Patricia Kennedy, sister of Senator John F. Kennedy. Kennedy is running for president. He's in Las Vegas for the weekend. Sinatra introduces Campbell to Kennedy. They talk for 20 minutes. Kennedy asks for her phone number. She gives it to him. 4 days later, Kennedy calls. He's in Washington. He invites her to join him in New York. She flies to meet him on February 11th. They have dinner. They spend the night together at the Plaza Hotel. The affair begins. Chicago, Illinois. Same period. Samuel Giancana runs the Chicago outfit. The mob calls him Momo. Born 1908. Expelled from school at age 10. Sent to reformatory. Released at 13. Joined the 42 Gang, one of Chicago's most violent street crews. By 1957, he became boss of the entire Chicago operation. Controls gambling, prostitution, loan sharking across multiple states. Answers to no one. Giancana operates from the Armory Lounge on West Roosevelt Road. FBI surveillance teams photograph everyone who enters. His home sits at 1147 Winona Avenue in Oak Park. Police watch it constantly. He doesn't care. Kennedy calls Campbell frequently. Phone logs will later show this. She visits him when he travels. They meet in Georgetown, in Miami, in Palm Springs. Kennedy discusses his presidential campaign with her. He talks about Cuba, about Castro, about his brother Bobby's plans for organized crime. Campbell tells no one. Sinatra introduces Campbell to another man. Sam Flood, he says. They meet at the Fontainebleau Hotel. Flood is charming. Older, well-dressed. They talk. He asks her to dinner. She says yes. Weeks pass before she learns Sam Flood is Sam Giancana. She's dating the president of the Chicago mob. And the senator who might become president. Kennedy needs to win West Virginia. His father, Joseph Kennedy, contacts associates. Money moves. Unions receive instructions. According to later testimony from Sinatra's daughter, Tina Sinatra, Frank Sinatra served as go-between. Messages passed from Joseph Kennedy through Sinatra to Giancana. The Chicago outfit had connections in West Virginia. Influence with union bosses. Control over certain officials. Kennedy wins West Virginia decisively on May 10th. The victory changes his campaign. He becomes the front-runner for the Democratic nomination. Whether the outfit delivered this victory remains disputed. But Giancana believed he helped. He would remember that. Summer 1960. Campbell now sees both men regularly. Kennedy calls from the campaign trail. Giancana takes her to dinner in Chicago. She flies between cities, between lives. Neither man knows about the other. Or so she thinks. The FBI knows about Giancana. They've watched him for years. Special agents conduct physical surveillance. They tap his phones. They follow his associates. They photograph his visitors. They photograph Campbell entering Giancana's territory. Kennedy wins the presidential election. The margin in Illinois is razor thin. Kennedy defeats Nixon by fewer than 9,000 votes statewide. Some historians claim Giancana delivered Chicago's vote through outfit-controlled precincts. Others call this myth. The truth remains unclear. What's clear? Giancana expected gratitude. Kennedy becomes president. Campbell attends the inauguration. She watches from the crowd. Kennedy doesn't acknowledge her publicly, but he calls her after. The affair continues. White House phone logs document these calls. Evelyn Lincoln, Kennedy's personal secretary, connects them. Campbell's name appears in appointment records. She visits the White House more than once. Meanwhile, the FBI surveillance of Giancana intensifies. Director J. Edgar Hoover receives regular reports. Special agents note Campbell's movements between Kennedy and Giancana. They don't understand the connection yet, but they're watching. Early 1961. Secret meetings begin. According to Campbell's later testimony, Kennedy begins asking her to do something. Carry messages, deliver envelopes, arrange meetings. She agrees. Campbell later claimed she arranged approximately 10 meetings between Kennedy and Giancana. One allegedly occurred at the White House itself. She said Kennedy wanted to discuss Cuba. The Bay of Pigs invasion had failed in April 1961. Kennedy was furious. His administration wanted Castro removed. The CIA had already been in contact with the mob. In August 1960, before Kennedy became president, CIA officials approached the outfit. They wanted Castro assassinated. Richard Beasel, CIA Deputy Director of Plans, authorized the operation. Robert Maheu, a private investigator with CIA ties, recruited Johnny Roselli, a Las Vegas mob figure. Roselli brought in Giancana. The CIA offered payment. Giancana didn't care about money. He wanted something else: protection, leverage, access. The assassination attempts failed. Poison pills didn't reach Castro. Shooters never got close. The CIA kept trying. The mob stayed involved. Now, in 1961, Kennedy was president. His brother Robert Kennedy, the Attorney General, was launching the largest organized crime crackdown in American history. FBI raids increased. Indictments multiplied. The Justice Department targeted mob bosses in every major city. Giancana was a priority target. Yet Campbell was carrying messages between Kennedy and Giancana. The FBI discovers something. Telephone records show 2 calls placed from Campbell's residence in Palm Springs to the White House. The calls went to Evelyn Lincoln's line. Lincoln connects calls directly to the president. FBI agents prepare a memo. The surveillance reports land on J. Edgar Hoover's desk. Hoover reads them carefully. The FBI director has files on everyone. He understands leverage. He understands secrets. Hoover waits. Early 1962, Chicago and Washington. Campbell continues traveling. She meets Giancana in Chicago. She flies to Washington to see Kennedy. She later testified she carried envelopes between them. She said she never looked inside. She described the envelopes as letter-sized, sometimes larger. She claimed Kennedy told her these concerned Cuba. Phone logs from this period show approximately 70 calls between Campbell and Kennedy. These calls went through the White House switchboard. Some bypassed the switchboard and went directly to Kennedy's private line. FBI surveillance teams photographed Campbell entering Giancana's residence. They photographed her entering hotels where Kennedy stayed. The timeline was clear. The connection was obvious. Hoover decided to act. Hoover requests a private lunch with President Kennedy. Kennedy agrees. They meet in the White House. No detailed record of their conversation exists. But Hoover's aides briefed him beforehand. The FBI director knew everything. Campbell's relationship with Kennedy, her relationship with Giancana, the White House phone calls, the meetings. Hoover laid it out. Kennedy said nothing about Campbell's role as courier. He offered no explanation for the meetings. According to later reports, Kennedy appeared concerned. Not defensive, just concerned. The lunch ended. That afternoon was the last time Kennedy spoke to Campbell. White House phone logs confirm this. The calls stop on March 22, 1962. No more connections through Evelyn Lincoln. No more private line calls. 70 calls over 18 months. Then silence. Kennedy cut her off completely. Campbell didn't understand why. Not immediately. Kennedy offered no explanation. He simply stopped calling. She tried reaching him. The calls weren't returned. Weeks later, she realized the FBI had told him. Spring 1962. Campbell and Giancana. Campbell continued seeing Giancana. The relationship was different from Kennedy, more volatile. Giancana had a temper. He was possessive. He talked about business sometimes, about problems with the FBI, about pressure from the Justice Department. Robert Kennedy's crackdown continued. Federal agents raided Chicago outfit operations. Grand juries issued subpoenas. Giancana faced constant surveillance. FBI cars followed him everywhere. Agents sat outside his house, outside the Armory Lounge, outside restaurants where he ate. Giancana grew paranoid. He asked Campbell questions about Kennedy, about what Kennedy had said, about what Kennedy wanted. Campbell gave vague answers. She was frightened. She realized the danger she was in, caught between a president and a mob boss, between the FBI and the outfit. She broke off the relationship with Giancana in late 1962. The Castro assassination plots continued. The CIA kept trying. The mob stayed involved. Giancana participated in at least one more attempt. Poison pills again. They failed again. Robert Kennedy didn't know about the CIA mob alliance. His Justice Department kept pressuring the Chicago outfit, kept pursuing Giancana. The FBI surveillance intensified. Giancana felt betrayed. He believed he had helped Kennedy win, believed he had access, believed the administration would protect him. Instead, he faced the heaviest law enforcement pressure of his career. President Kennedy was assassinated. 3 shots. Dealey Plaza. Lee Harvey Oswald arrested. Jack Ruby killed Oswald 2 days later. Ruby had mob connections. He knew Chicago outfit associates. He had visited Dallas nightclubs with ties to organized crime. Conspiracy theories emerged immediately. Some pointed to the mob, to Giancana, to the feeling of betrayal, to the CIA mafia plot gone wrong. No evidence ever proved mob involvement in Kennedy's assassination. The Warren Commission investigated. They found no credible link. Later investigations reached the same conclusion. But questions remained. Giancana left the United States in 1966. He flew to Mexico, then to South America. He lived in exile for 8 years, protected from Justice Department prosecution, protected from rivals in the outfit. He returned to Oak Park in 1974. The FBI met him at the airport. Surveillance resumed immediately. Federal agents watched his house, followed his car, documented his visitors. The Church Committee formed in January 1975. Senator Frank Church led the investigation. The Senate Committee examined CIA operations, covert actions, assassination plots. The committee discovered the Castro plots. They learned about the CIA Mafia alliance. They wanted to question everyone involved. Johnny Roselli testified. He described the recruitment, the poison pills, the failed attempts. He mentioned Giancana's role. The committee scheduled Giancana to testify. He received a subpoena. The date was set for late June 1975. Giancana told associates he wouldn't talk. He refused to cooperate. He wouldn't testify about Kennedy, wouldn't testify about the CIA, wouldn't testify about anything. Giancana returns from Houston. He had undergone gallbladder surgery. He's recovering. He arrives home at 1147 Winona Avenue. His caretaker, Dominic Blasi, is there. Friends visit. Family stops by. Night falls. Around 10:30 p.m., someone enters the basement. Giancana is cooking. Sausage and peppers. Escarole and beans. His usual meal? A man approaches from behind. A .22 caliber pistol. 7 shots. 1 under the chin. 1 in the back of the head. 5 more around the mouth and jaw. The positioning suggests the shooter stood close. Very close. Someone Giancana trusted. Someone he let into his basement kitchen. The shots are fired in rapid succession. Giancana falls. Dead before he hits the floor. No one hears the shots. The .22 caliber pistol is quiet. Neighbors report nothing. Lazzi discovers the body near midnight. He calls police. Oak Park Police Department arrives. FBI agents follow within minutes. Chicago Police Department homicide detectives take over. They find no forced entry, no signs of struggle, no witnesses. The murder weapon is never recovered. Investigation. Detectives interview Blasey extensively. He had left the house around 10 p.m. He returned to find Giancana dead. His alibi checks out. They interview neighbors. No one saw anything. No one heard anything. FBI agents review surveillance footage from earlier that day. They had watched the house, photographed visitors, but they pulled surveillance teams after dark. Budget cuts, personnel shortages, standard procedure. The one night they weren't watching. The murder remains unsolved. Theories multiply. Some blame the CIA. Giancana knew too much about Castro plots, about Kennedy connections, about secrets the government wanted buried. Others blame the Chicago outfit. Giancana was scheduled to testify. The mob doesn't allow testimony. They enforce silence permanently. Still others point to internal outfit politics, power struggles, territory disputes, old grudges. Oak Park Police Department never charged anyone. The FBI investigation went nowhere. No arrests. No convictions. The church committee continued its work. Without Giancana's testimony, they relied on documents, on CIA records, on FBI surveillance reports, on testimony from other witnesses. Johnny Roselli testified in detail. He described the Castro plots, the CIA recruitment, the poison pills, the failed attempts in Havana. He implicated Giancana. He confirmed the mob's involvement. 7 months after testifying, Roselli disappeared. His body was found August 9, 1976, stuffed in a 55-gallon drum, floating in Dumfoundling Bay near Miami. He had been strangled, then shot, then dismembered. The murder was never solved. December 1975. Campbell comes forward. The church committee's investigation made headlines. Stories about CIA assassination plots filled newspapers. Campbell's name surfaced in FBI documents. Reporters found her. She held a press conference on December 17, 1975. She admitted the affairs. She confirmed the relationship with Kennedy. She confirmed the relationship with Giancana. But she denied being a courier. She said she never carried messages, never arranged meetings. Just a woman caught between powerful men. The church committee didn't believe her. White House phone logs proved the connections. FBI surveillance photos showed her movements. Testimony from other witnesses contradicted her denials, but Campbell stuck to her story. She published a memoir in 1977, My Story. The book described the affairs in detail, the romance with Kennedy, the relationship with Giancana. But she maintained she was never involved in anything illegal, never carried messages, never knew about government business. The book became a bestseller. 13 years later, Campbell changed her story. She gave an interview to People magazine, February 1988. Reporter Kitty Kelly conducted the interview. Campbell admitted she had lied to the church committee, in her memoir, in every interview. She lied because she was frightened. Frightened of the FBI. Frightened of the mob. Frightened of what might happen if she told the truth. Now, facing terminal cancer, she decided to speak. Campbell described her role as courier in detail. She said Kennedy asked her to carry envelopes to Giancana. She said she arranged approximately 10 meetings between them. She claimed one meeting occurred inside the White House itself. She described the envelopes, letter-sized, sometimes larger, sometimes sealed, sometimes not. She said Kennedy told her they concerned Cuba, plans to remove Castro, coordination with people who could help. She said she never fully understood what she was carrying, never asked detailed questions, just did what Kennedy requested. Campbell said Giancana asked her about Kennedy frequently, about his plans, about his thinking. She said she answered some questions, kept quiet about others. She described living in constant fear. Fear that the FBI would arrest her. Fear that the mob would silence her. Fear that she knew too much. The People magazine interview generated national attention. Headlines everywhere. Kennedy used mistress as mob courier. JFK Mafia link confirmed. Historians debated the claims. Some believed Campbell completely. White House logs supported her timeline. FBI surveillance confirmed her movements. The Castro plots were real. The CIA-Mafia alliance was documented. Others remained skeptical. Campbell had lied before. Why believe her now? She offered no physical evidence. No envelopes. No documents. Just her word. What actually happened? The documented facts are these. Frank Sinatra introduced Judith Campbell to John F. Kennedy on February 7, 1960. The introduction occurred at the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas. This is confirmed by multiple witnesses. Campbell and Kennedy began an affair in February 1960. The affair continued until March 1962. White House phone logs show approximately 70 calls between them. White House visitor logs confirm she entered the building. Sinatra introduced Campbell to Sam Giancana in April 1960. Giancana and Campbell had a romantic relationship from 1960 to 1962. FBI surveillance photos document their meetings. Sam Giancana was boss of the Chicago outfit from 1957 to 1966. This is established by law enforcement records and mob testimony. The CIA recruited Chicago outfit figures in 1960 to assist in plots to assassinate Fidel Castro. Documents released by the Church Committee prove this. Robert Maheu, Johnny Roselli, and Sam Giancana participated in these plots. FBI surveillance teams monitored Giancana continuously from 1959 through 1975. Surveillance reports documented Campbell's visits to Giancana's residences and businesses. J. Edgar Hoover met with President Kennedy on March 22, 1962. FBI memos confirm Hoover was briefed beforehand about Campbell's connections to both Kennedy and Giancana. White House phone calls between Kennedy and Campbell stopped on March 22, 1962. The phone logs show no further contact after that date. Campbell testified before the Church Committee in 1975. She initially denied carrying messages or arranging meetings between Kennedy and Giancana. Campbell gave an interview to People magazine in February 1988. In this interview, she claimed she had served as a courier between Kennedy and Diana. She said she arranged approximately 10 meetings. Sam Giancana was murdered on June 19, 1975, 7 days before his scheduled testimony before the Church Committee. The murder occurred in his Oak Park basement. 7 shots from a .22 caliber pistol. The case remains unsolved. Johnny Roselli was murdered on August 9, 1976, 7 months after testifying before the Church Committee. The case remains unsolved. Judith Campbell died on September 24, 1999, from breast cancer. She was 65 years old. The security implications. Whether or not Campbell carried messages, the relationship itself was a catastrophic security breach. The President of the United States was romantically involved with a woman simultaneously involved with the head of the Chicago mob. The FBI knew. The President knew. The mob boss knew. The potential for blackmail was enormous. Giancana could have exposed the affair at any time. He could have used the relationship to pressure Kennedy, to demand favorable treatment, to threaten public scandal. The fact that Giancana was simultaneously working with the CIA on assassination plots made the situation even more dangerous. The Chicago outfit had direct knowledge of covert government operations. They had access to a presidential mistress. They had expectations of protection. When Robert Kennedy's Justice Department pursued the mob instead, those expectations were shattered. The betrayal was complete. The relationship between Kennedy and Campbell happened. The relationship between Campbell and Giancana happened. The CIA Mafia assassination plots happened. The connections were real. Whether Campbell served as an active courier remains debatable. But the security risk was undeniable. A mob boss had access to the President of the United States through a shared romantic partner. For approximately 2 years, that connection existed. Phone calls, messages, meetings. The FBI documented it. White House logs recorded it. Senate investigators confirmed it. It wasn't rumor. It wasn't speculation. It was a national security nightmare buried in classified files for 15 years. When the truth finally emerged, the damage to Kennedy's legacy was permanent. The questions about mob influence on his presidency remain unanswered. Sam Giancana took most of those answers to his grave. 7 bullets in an Oak Park basement. The blood was cleaned up within hours. But the questions have never gone away.